everyone, Brad here again. Today I have some amazing stories about how Archangel Michael personally comes to our rescue when we call to him, no matter how mundane our problem may be. For those interested to learn more about Archangel Michael or some other topics mentioned in our stories, I've added some links in the description below. Okay, let's get to our first story from a woman who, with the help of Archangel Michael, rescued her father from a sticky situation. Hello. A few winters back, I was spending some time with my family. My dad had rented a van, and as he was backing out of the driveway, it got stuck because it had just snowed. New England snowfalls can be pretty bad. He tried rocking it forward and backward to no avail, so he called me out to get behind the wheel as he went out to push. Still no luck. I got out and we both pushed. The more we tried, the deeper the wheels got stuck. We had made quite a deep rut now. After about a half an hour of this, I said, okay, enough is enough. I told him to get back in the van and start rocking it again while I pushed. He fussed a little, but finally went. Meanwhile, I made an intense call to Archangel Michael to place his electronic presence over me and push this van free. Almost in an instant, it was out of the rut and on the road. My dad got out, totally perplexed at how his 5'3" daughter could have pushed this big van out of the rut all by herself, when the two of us together couldn't even do it. I told him it wasn't me, it was Archangel Michael. He looked at me for a few seconds kind of dumbfounded, and in silence got back into the van. The next story we were about to hear, I can also relate to, having had a similar experience to what this man had. We can fully be aware consciously of our soul getting stuck in the astral plane on the way back to our body, held there until we call to Archangel Michael to save us. So here's his story. A couple of years ago, I had an appearance from Archangel Michael that secured forever my devotion to God and His path for me. During our church conference that was held in Washington, D.C., I was staying with a number of other conferees at George Washington University. The second night there, I remember having a vivid and terrifying nightmare wherein I was forcibly locked up in a deep cave. There were demons all around tormenting and torturing me, while on the other side of the wall of prison bars, I could see my body sleeping. I was crying out and pleading to my body to wake up, but to no avail. Finally, in desperation, I remembered the simple call to Archangel Michael. Lord Michael before, Lord Michael behind, Lord Michael to the right, Lord Michael to the left, Lord Michael above, Lord Michael below, Lord Michael wherever I go. I am His love protecting here, I am His love protecting here, I am His love protecting here. Instantly I was back in my body. Sitting up in my bed, the intense fear began to subside as I glanced around at familiar surroundings. My roommate was still sound asleep, but all around his bed and mine, I saw a blur of blue angels rapidly pursuing a shadowy mass that soon left through the open door and disappeared from sight, followed closely by the angelic pursuers. This entire process, taking no more than several seconds, left me somewhat stunned. Redirecting my gaze to the foot of my bed, I then saw Archangel Michael standing there, his golden hair wafting in solar breezes from another dimension. He held his sword before him, filling the entire space from floor to ceiling. The angular, youthful face of a warrior, brilliant golden armor and heavenly wings, all radiating and interpenetrated with the transparent, vibrant cobalt blue of the fearless leader of God's armies. My emotional state had progressed from terror to relief to surprise, and now to reverent awe at this magnificent and privileged experience. I let my soul drink deeply of the angelic vision as my eyes spoke gratitude to his. If a man's eyes are windows to his soul, then Archangel Michael's eyes are portals to the entire cosmos, past, present, and future. In his gaze, I felt comfort, peace, and transcendent love. No harm could ever come to me with Michael as my guardian. I lay back, safe as a child, in the arms of the Divine Mother. I did not see him leave. I know he never will. I have only to close my eyes to see his face and feel his power and love about me. For this, no words can ever express my gratitude. In our last story, a lady gets miraculous angelic help as she toils with a flat tire in the middle of the night. Here's what she wrote. There is an instance that I wanted to testify about. It occurred on a Saturday night after a service I attended at our church headquarters, which was located in Malibu Canyon, Southern California. Following the service, I walked to the parking lot to my car in order to return home to West Los Angeles. I got to my car only to find that my left rear tire was completely flat. I was very frustrated with myself because for more than 3 weeks I had been driving my car without a spare tire. I had been telling myself to go to my mechanic and check with him to find out if, when he had been working on my car several weeks earlier, he had inadvertently misplaced my spare. I never went to see him, however, because I was always too busy at the moment. I'll take care of it tomorrow, I kept saying. So there I was at the parking lot at church about 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, with no one around me and about 25 miles away from home. I thought to myself, would I be better off trying to get to the Ventura Freeway about 7 miles north or going 7 or 8 miles to the Pacific Coast Highway? I decided that either direction was bad since I would be driving on a flat tire, but I finally determined that the Pacific Coast Highway would be better because once there, I would probably have better fortune getting help from AAA. I got in the car and started to drive out the main gate, trying to think if I had any other option. The car was making this clunking sound all the way out because of the flat tire. I drove slowly and made my turn out of the front gate, heading toward the streetlights and Malibu Canyon Highway. But the sound of the car running on the flat tire was very bad, so I pulled over to the side of the road across from the gate and got out to look at the tire. I felt a sinking in my heart, and I said to myself that I would have to drive very slowly down Malibu Canyon and hope and pray that the tire would last long enough for me to get to the Pacific Coast Highway, where I would be able to get some help. I was resigned to this because clearly there was no other option. Just at that moment, I remembered the mantra to Archangel Michael, Lord Michael before, Lord Michael behind, etc. I said to myself, maybe if I just start saying that mantra as fast as I can, my mind will think of some other solution to this mess. Even though the problem was entirely my fault due to procrastination, I thought maybe this decree will help Archangel Michael to get me down the hill safely. So just drive real slow, even if it takes you all night to get home. The important thing is to get home safely. I felt that I was kind of in a twilight zone and kept verbally kicking myself for not having gone to get my spare tire for all of those weeks. I looked at my watch and it was about 11:15. I knew that things were not going to improve if I just sat there. I knew I needed some kind of miracle to get me safely down that hill to the Coast Highway, but I truly felt in a state of near total despair. My own spoken prayer to Archangel Michael was just to get me down the hill safely. I did not really care if the tire was destroyed in the process. I just had to get to someone who could help me. I was not very confident, but I began to speak the mantra. What happened next was astounding. I do not believe I had spoken the mantra more than a few times, and not very loudly because I was feeling quite depressed, when I began to hear a soft hissing sound, and I felt a very subtle but nevertheless distinct lifting of the left rear of the car. My first thought was to get out of the car and see what was going on, but something in my head told me, stay put and just keep repeating the mantra as fast as you can and as loudly as you can. I decided for one of the few times in my life, be obedient, and I did as I was told. I drove to the intersection there of Mulholland and Malibu Canyon and stopped at the light. I noticed as I was driving the clunking sound had disappeared. I remember I had a kind of smile on my face, but at the same time, I felt that what was actually happening could not possibly be happening, but yet I knew it was happening. When the light changed, I turned left and started down the highway. I kept listening for the clunking sound of the tire as my car picked up speed, and the sound just was not there. Before I knew it, I was driving at 50 miles an hour down the road and nearly yelling the mantra to Archangel Michael over and over. As the car was coming down the final hill, approaching Pepperdine University and Seaver Road, where I was going to turn to get to the Unicall station across the Pacific Coast Highway, all of a sudden the tire went flat again and started the clunking sound. I slowed down as fast as I could and drove the last mile or so very slowly and pulled into the Unicall station. I asked a man working there if he could repair my tire. He said that he did not have a spare tire that would fit my car and that his equipment was not working correctly. I then went to the phone and called AAA. I explained the situation and where I was, and they said that someone would be along to help me in about an hour. I stood there thinking about the whole situation for a minute, and I decided, look, the mantra to Archangel Michael got you safely down to the highway. Do the mantra again and see if there is any way of getting the situation speeded up a little. Within probably a couple minutes, the man came out to where I was and said, you know, I think I could probably fix your tire because I just found a new tire that will fit your car. He did so in about 10 minutes and I was on my way. The entire delay was probably no more than 30 minutes. Needless to say, during the years since this occurred, I have found myself questioning, did that really happen to me? Well, I know that it did. I know that I had a flat tire. I know that I had no spare to use. The only way down that hill safely and the only way I got home in good time was through the intercession of Archangel Michael. Whenever my faith is tried, which seems to be frequently these days, I go back to this experience and realize that this was only one of countless times in my life that this most blessed of God's servants has stepped in personally to remind me of His presence, of His strength, and of His trustworthiness. I have not seen Him with my physical eyes, but I know His presence in my life. As I daily give my prayers and mantras to Archangel Michael, I know that one day soon I will see him face to face. Thank you for the opportunity to give my witness. I hope these stories were inspiring and made your day a little brighter. If you like this content, please consider subscribing, commenting, and liking this video. Doing so will help get these stories recommended to more people on YouTube. Thank you.